tiny seed. We watch it blossom into life.
Well, let's just bring this guy in here, and since his name keeps popping up all over the place, let's just bring him in. Hey, Ron.
Hi guys, how are ya?
We're blessed. Getting a little bit of feedback there. Might want to turn your speaker down, maybe just a hair. Make sure we can hear you though. Oh yeah, Doggy Dinerville. Oh my gosh, that's
that was on my list to share, just because it was a tremendous memory. Like, but to me, like we wrote a song. For those that don't know, we wrote a song kind of commemorating the really bad experience with selling hot dogs at Saco, and there was a ton left over. It was like really complicated to get that done, so we wrote a song to Margaritaville and called it Doggy Dinerville. And which was so hilarious. And like Craig said, we sat there at like a picnic table, and Mark and Craig and I wrote that song. So we went to good. Brad's playing the parts. We're all dressed in I think we're in Hawaiian shirts, and so we do the song, and it's really is funny. So it's kind of like without hearing the whole song, but it's funny. But as Brad's leaving the stage, somebody approached him, and they kind of got on him like, "You, Brad, a holy man, doing such a song." So I mean, it was always funny. I meant to get him like a Pope hat or something because I thought that was pretty funny.
Always so funny.
It was a good time, no doubt about that.
Does anyone have a copy of that?
Not that I know of.
I might on some old VHS. I have to have converted.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
I know I have a lot of. I discovered I have a lot of those Sacotes and memories on. Right. I just need to get them somewhere and have them converted. I don't want to take the time to do it.
Yeah. Say again, Carol. We didn't hear you.
I wonder if Lion and Lamb's got a copy of that. That was there at Oklahoma Saco.
They might have it.
They may.
They may have deleted it.
It was professional grade.
The Greenberg brothers,
Yeah. We can barely hear you, Carol, so you might get a little closer or speak up a little bit. But there we go. We're okay. Yeah, we can hear you. Okay. Well, very good. Craig and Annie, thanks a billion, man. This is short notice of you guys coming in, and we had a couple of people cancel, and I really, really appreciate this. This is over the top. Speaking of being ready in season and out, you guys are always there, and I so appreciate it so much. So we'll stay in touch, and thanks again.
Thanks for the opportunity, Mark. Be blessed. Be blessed, Carol. We're with you in our hearts.
Thanks, Craig.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
All right. Real good. Real good.
Rod, should we talk about what we're doing?
Yeah. You want to talk about that right up front? Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. So a couple of things. You want all the things you're doing, or just you want to talk about the kind of praise conference stuff? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, praise conference and the CD.
Oh, yeah. So Carol found a bunch of cassettes that have Brad doing music. So he recorded a lot of music, kind of like sequence stuff that he had done. I'm not sure when he did that. Was it the 90s maybe? I'm not sure when he did that stuff, Carol. And so she came across that. So she sent it to me, and we're in the process of putting all those cassettes into digital form. And so we'll have a bunch of Brad's music before too long now. We started working on it, by the way, and it's going to sound very good. Very excited about it. He did a great job. And Brad really, that's, for me, that's how we got together was, I think the connection was music. Back everybody, for the most part, so far it sounds like most people met him at like a Sacote in the early years of maybe, was it 2002, Carol? Was that when you guys first came out there? 2001. Wow. So it's been that long. That's amazing. Since that I have to multiply things now more with how many times we did stuff together, but that's kind of amazing. Hey, before I get into all that though, I want to say thank you to everybody that shared, like Michael and Bill and Mark and Craig and Annie. I appreciate all those stories. It's unusually really a relief to hear you guys talk. It's good to see you. It's kind of weird. Carol, we talked on the phone, but seeing this little box here is pretty cool. So thank you, Mark, for putting this together. I think it means more than I even thought at the time. It's one of those things. Really interesting. So I thought I'd just kind of share what happened in that time that I met Brad earlier than I even thought, and how much time we spent together. I thought it was 2003, but now it sounds like it's probably 2001 we met. And that year he was at Chandler at Sukkot, and he was doing the Apostle Paul. And so somehow I was just like, wow, he's just hilarious. Yet at the same time, Brad was hilarious, but he had a point to his comedy. It was driving a point always. And so I was like, wow, this guy's amazing. Well, we were hanging out like you do at Sukkot. And next thing you know, he was like, "Hey, could I sit in with the band?" I was like, "Yes." So he started sitting in and started adding to the worship team stuff. And from that time on, we just became really good friends, and we did a lot of stuff together. We did a lot of Sukkots, but some of my fondest memories are doing Messiah West Coast, where we spent a week for 12 years. Once a year, we'd spend a week together. And most of the time we'd share a cabin. I mean, I'm talking like a cabin room, right? So there are multiple beds and we'd have different beds. But to me, one of the funniest things is just a fond memory, Brad. It's so funny. For some reason we'd forget to bring linen, right? So we had no sheets, no blankets, and it was cold. There's air conditioning running those things. It's cold. And so just to kind of paint the picture, there was like a queen size bed, which I would always give Brad, and I'd sleep in like a little bunk bed, twin size mattress, right? So John Lepke, good friend, right? He's putting on Messiah West Coast with others, gets us a sleeping bag because we have no linens, right? So these sleeping bags, I don't know where he got them, but I've never seen a cheaper sleeping bag in my whole days. It was so slippery, like you couldn't like have it on you without it sliding off. So I remember Brad was complaining about it a little bit, and I was like, Brad, I think like kind of like taco yourself in it, so you're on top of it, and like roll it over you. It's going to be perfect. You'll be great. And I remember that night waking up in the middle of the night, I had to go to the restroom, and I look over and I see the sleeping bag on the floor, and Brad's in like the fetal position in like tidy whities. I'm just going to tell you right now, it was so funny. I just laughed in the middle of the night just to myself, just like, oh man, that was just one of the many, many just things that just continually went on with that stuff. The Doggy Dinerville was one that I was going to share, which we did on that. So it was just a lot of fun. We just always laughed, but there were just many things that happened. So all those times that we did worship together, it was hundreds of times when I started doing the math on it, just hundreds of times, right? So all those times I also heard him teach. And so we did worship, then do a teaching or teaching and worship multiple times a day, sometimes 3 times a day. Just amazing how much time we spent together on those times we were at those events. So Michael kind of shared some stuff, and so Brad had kind of 3 principles. I would kind of give him a hard time about this and just tell him that, hey, I've got you figured out, Brad. There's 3 things. If you have these 3 things figured out, you know everything you need to know about Brad, and that's it. And really, it's he would always, somewhere across his travels, he would somehow say, God is smarter than we are. That was just something he always wanted to emphasize, because so many times I think people do think like, hey, maybe I invented the Bible, but really, God is smarter than we are. So that stuff is very important to know. And if you're going to understand the Hebrew language, you have to really take it down. That little house that you saw with a family, it's like a little kid drawing. That happens across the world. All kids draw that. My daughter drew it. I have one saved of her drawing a similar picture, right? So family, a house, and a piece of land. Really, if you break down the language, it goes back to those things. And then I think another important thing was Isaiah 46:10, where basically it says the end is revealed from the beginning. So those are like the 3 principles. So I would tease Brad about that all the time. I heard it so many times. And now that Brad has passed, I'm like, oh man, I really wish I had just listened a little more on those times, because it was just so good. I've listened to some stuff, and I watched an Apostle Paul thing. I said, oh man, just so good, so amazing. So just loved it so much. And I can just definitely confirm what the dolls are saying. That Brad would say in our times together, Carol, he would talk about you so many times. Like my love, Carol. I mean, it was just very much, you're always on his heart when you weren't there. So just know that he just loved you so much. I know you know that already. And so that's that's how we got to know each other, spent so much time. And I do know kind of more at the end here, we spent time, after things went on. And I know his heart was really to do music. He loved the kids. And he did, that was almost like the thing that was tearing him up almost worse. He knew he wasn't going to be able to make it to Messiah West Coast. And I think maybe 5 years ago we had done it and it had always been good. And somewhere around 5 years ago, maybe it's a little longer, Carol would remember. So he was somewhere and a young woman, maybe a young girl, came up to him and said, "Hey, I guess I'm not going to be able to get married. The end time's coming. She was coming back and I'm not going to get married." And it kind of like hit Brad in the heart. It's like, hey, what are we teaching our kids? It's like, maybe what if Yeshua's return isn't this year? What if it's not right now? And so it's true, isn't it? And so somehow in there, it just kind of turned kind of the direction. I think his kind of message was always trying to prepare youth for, the onslaught of like the science of it, right? Like you could be ready to have the onslaught when things come against you, like, hey, you're an idiot if you believe in God, that kind of stuff, right? Where's the science of it? And that was his thing. Yeah. And then somewhere in there, he started saying, hey, who in here has been baptized? And you'd see no hands go up, and very few people had that experience. Or who has received Yeshua in their life, and very few. And so Brad kind of shifted his kind of focus to heart of the matter. And so he started seeing how important it was to talk about relationship with the Father, relationship with Yeshua, and making sure you had salvation, make sure you had baptism. And I remember times there when some of the more like intent, we laughed a lot, but it's always serious edge, like I was saying. And people just lined up, these youth lined up to be baptized. We thought it was going to, there was like maybe 2-3 scheduled. Next thing you know, just people are just lining up. These kids are coming just spontaneously, asking to be baptized. And Brad was so good at it. And it was just such a joyous time. Those kind of things are just amazing that he would do that kind of stuff. So that's just the coolness.
Wow. Great. Well, we're definitely looking forward to the music. And speaking of the music, do you know this guy over here?
I do know that guy.
Hey guys, shalom.
This is Brian Barnes of Growing in Torah Ministries, and Rod would be with Brad many times there in the ministry. So
many times.
Thanks. Hey, before I let you go and let Brian have his time, let everybody know your ministry, website address, anything you want to let people know about.
Sure. oyeisrael.com is my ministry. You can just visit there and see what's going on, get music, that kind of stuff. And that's it for me. So really wanted this to be about Brad and Carol.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Ministry. So I appreciate it again, Mark, for letting me be a part. Thanks for asking me to join in. Carol, love you. Good seeing you. Brian, good seeing you too.
Yeah, you too. Shalom.
Mark.
Hey, you should stay on because, you're the instigator of a lot of issues.
I'll stay on for a while. I don't mind staying on for a bit. Just to see Brian talk of it.
I can keep you both up on the screen here for Brian. Brian's got about 8 minutes.
Okay, yeah. Well,
we go to the next people,
typical. So. That's typical, Rod. Hey, it's so good to be here. I'm so thankful to be here. Carol, I can't tell you how good it is to see you. And just, my heart has gone out, and Carla and I just wanted to just give you a big old hug. And so consider yourself hugged by Carla and I. And we love you so much. And Mark, thank you for doing this, and for all the other people that have come on or yet to come on. I can't wait to hear the rest of the stuff, about Brad. And, it's well, I don't want to be the person that makes everything get sad, but this has been a hard one for me. I got to be honest. Brad was such a tremendous influence in our lives, very practical daily life. I mean, everything I do right now, even every time I get up and in the morning, and the things that we do, it has to do with Brad. I mean, agrobiolinguistics and all the things that he talked about, and the principle of the seed. And here at the farm, that's what we do, and everything. So just wanted to thank you, Carol. And hey, Mark, you can, if you don't mind, put up everybody back on. Yeah, because I like to see your face. Thank you. you know, just everything that we do here on the farm is just got Brad's fingerprints all over it, and it's really special to me. And I'll get off the heart-wrenching stuff here and try to keep it a little lighter. But we love Brad so much, and we love you too, Carol. And I'm going to chime in with everybody else. You know, we'd be out either at Messiah West Coast or at a conference somewhere. And by the way, I just love hanging out in the hotel rooms at night, singing with the Dolls and Rod and the Blantons and everybody. And it was always such a special time to be able to do that. And Carla and I just love that so much. But when you weren't there, Carol, whether we were at Messiah West Coast or, you know, at some other conference that you weren't there, there was a time in the evening where everything just stopped. And it was like, I got to call Carol. I've got to call Carol. And you know, we had plans, you know, to do this or that, but no, calling Carol came first. And when you're at camp, sometimes you had to drive to a, you know, place, get up on a hill somewhere where there's cell coverage and things like that. And that was so important to him, and to be able to connect with you in those times that you couldn't be together. And so I just want to also thank you for being the type of woman that had a kingdom mindset, even with, you know, Brad had a kingdom mindset. His life was for the kingdom. And therefore, you also being able to let him go and do the things that he needed to do. And it was so special. So, you know, the other thing, and this is where Rod came into play. We had so many good nights at Sukkot sitting around the fire. And of course, Brad tried to, you know, Brad was kind of a, I don't know how you call that. Is scallywag the right word? I don't. But, you know, I remember so many nights sitting around the fire, you guys singing, you know, Name That Tune and stuff like that. And I don't know who it was, but I'm pretty sure Rod was right in the middle of this. I can't remember if it was you, Carol, or Brad that fell into the pond late at night. That was you? Okay.
It's pitch black out there.
I know. And then there you go, off into the pond. Oh, those were such good times. I had always thought that, and you might recall this differently, but it wouldn't surprise me if you were shoved a little bit and Rod was right there. I'm just saying.
Not so.
Not Rod.
No. Well, the other thing that I wanted to do, and I've got just a couple minutes left, so I'm going to give the people there, all the GITers are out in the living room watching this, and I'm going to ask them to come in.
Very cool.
Probably a little bit of delay, because one of the things that was so important to Brad, is that the youth, and you know, he, above all else, that next generation, like I said, he was kingdom minded, and everything was more than just his life. And he understood that the next generation of those coming up, you know, Brad's been on our board for a long time. He's been a teacher at Growing in Torah to the students for a long time, and very dedicated to that. He's, like Rod said, he was been at Messiah West Coast since I think 2008 was the first year, and every single year, and desperately wanted to be there this year. That didn't work out. But it's been about the youth and making sure that next generation is prepared to deal with the things that are coming on them. Are you guys there? Can you come in? Oh, there we go. And I just wanted to bring them in. Some of the fruits of his labor. Hi,
Carla.
Anyway, you guys pack on in here, and Brad used to always tell our students how proud he was that they were doing, not just talking about producing fruit, but actually producing fruit. That was so important. The practicality of who he was. And he would put teeth into the things that he was teaching, not just wanting to talk about it, but the principle of the seed is really about that. And so you can't even hardly see everybody that's in here, but just Carol, we want you to know from all of us, we love you very much, and you're always welcome here as well. And in fact, we hope to see you at Sukkot. But
that's my point. And recognize some of the faces when Brad would be doing his teaching on Wednesdays, and I'd head off to town. I'd always have to say bye, honey, and say hi, and just keep doing what Brad led you to do, and you're doing great, and everything will be good.
Yeah.
And it was all worth it. Brad would take off and go and do it, and it was all worth it. That's fact.
I'm sorry, didn't finish out the season.
Well, that's okay. Obviously, he was really trying hard to do that, but
we did everything we could think of.
I know. And the Father has other plans sometimes. You know, we can see in this little narrow window, but that's all we can see. And we don't even know why at this point. We don't need to know why. But we know that the Father's got everything under control and that he has a plan. So I'm comfortable with that, even though I'm super major sad.
Just that. I'd like why. He was teaching, and now that'll never see the light of day. And it's just to believe his mission was over, his ministry. It had so much. I haven't cleared off his whiteboard yet with all his projects that he wanted to do.
Wow.
Just always overflowing with something new.
Yeah.
But
I hate to cut it off. We've got several people coming in. So Rod, thanks a million.
Thanks, you guys.
And we'll see you soon. I'm sure. Keep us updated on what's going on, brother. And
tiny seed, we watch it blossom into